In this podcast episode, Vivek Ramaswamy discusses conservatism, the implications of DEI initiatives, and he addresses issues related to bureaucracy, education reform, military strategy, and U.S. China relations. Ramaswamy also reflects on his political ambitions and the importance of open debate in fostering a healthier democratic discourse. Ramaswamy articulates a vision for conservatism that emphasizes the need for a coherent set of principles rather than merely opposing progressive policies. He critiques the modern Republican Party for its adeptness at identifying what it stands against, such as wokeism, climate ideology, and various leftist agendas, while lacking a clear vision for the future. Ramaswamy argues that conservatism should be rooted in the foundational ideals of the American Revolution, including meritocracy, free speech, self-governance, and the rule of law. He believes these principles are essential for restoring the integrity of the nation and ensuring that elected representatives govern rather than unelected bureaucrats. Ramaswamy presents a steelman argument for leftist ideas, acknowledging that progressives base their case on the premise that America has historically failed to live up to its ideals of equality and justice, particularly regarding race and gender. He explains that progressives believe systemic inequalities necessitate government intervention to correct historical injustices. However, Ramaswamy counters this view by arguing that such interventions often recreate the very problems they aim to solve, fostering division and resentment rather than unity. He points out that the focus on equity can undermine meritocracy, as it prioritizes group quotas over individual achievement, ultimately leading to negative outcomes for the very groups progressives seek to help. Ramaswamy critiques DEI initiatives as a framework that, while ostensibly promoting diversity, often stifles genuine diversity of thought. He shares an example of a woman penalized for wearing a red sweater in support of veterans, which was deemed a microaggression by a minority employee. This incident illustrates how DEI can lead to a culture of exclusion based on ideological conformity rather than fostering an environment where diverse opinions can coexist. Ramaswamy argues that the DEI agenda is not only anti-meritocratic, but also detrimental to open discourse, creating a chilling effect on the expression of differing viewpoints. Ramaswamy delves into the issue of bureaucracy, asserting that the rise of a managerial class has detrimental effects on American society. He believes that bureaucracies, both in government and private sectors, prioritize their own existence over the missions they are supposed to serve. This bureaucratic culture leads to inefficiency and a lack of accountability, as seen in various institutions, including the military and education systems. He argues that the Founding Fathers were fundamentally anti-bureaucratic, advocating for a system where individuals could self-govern without the constraints imposed by a sprawling administrative state. To address the issues posed by bureaucracy, Ramaswamy proposes a radical approach, a 75% reduction in federal bureaucracy. He suggests that this drastic measure would not only streamline government operations, but also restore self-governance by empowering elected representatives. He believes that such cuts would stimulate the economy by removing the regulatory burdens that stifle innovation and entrepreneurship. He emphasizes that the current bureaucratic structure is unsustainable and that a significant overhaul is necessary to revive the spirit of American exceptionalism. Ramaswamy emphasizes the need for a more efficient government, advocating for a significant reduction in the size of the federal bureaucracy. He argues that many government agencies were created with noble intentions but have since become bloated and ineffective. Instead of creating permanent bureaucracies, he suggests that the government should form task forces that can address specific issues and then disband once their work is complete. He expresses support for Elon Musk's proposal for a Department of Government Efficiency, indicating that he sees it as a necessary step toward reforming the federal government. Ramaswamy critiques the Department of Education, arguing that its original purpose to prevent racial discrimination in funding for schools has become outdated. He points out that the department now imposes ideological requirements on schools in exchange for federal funding, which he believes undermines local control and educational quality. He advocates for a return to local governance of education, allowing municipalities and states to determine their own educational policies without federal interference. Ramaswamy supports educational choice, including charter schools and vouchers, as a means to improve educational outcomes and accountability. Ramaswamy addresses the military-industrial complex, arguing that the U.S. should focus on protecting its national interests rather than engaging in foreign interventions. He believes that the primary role of the military should be to secure the homeland and protect American citizens. He criticizes the current foreign policy for being overly focused on military spending without addressing the actual security needs of the country. Ramaswamy suggests that the U.S. should demand that NATO allies contribute more to their own defense, and that the U.S. should not bear the burden of protecting other nations without their fair share of investment. He emphasizes the need for a clear mission for the military, focusing on threats from countries like China and Russia, rather than getting involved in conflicts that do not directly serve American interests. Ramaswamy discusses illegal immigration, arguing for strict enforcement of immigration laws and the need for mass deportations of illegal immigrants. He believes that the U.S. should prioritize the rule of law and that those who enter the country illegally should face consequences. Acknowledging the complexities and potential pain associated with mass deportation, he argues that it is necessary to uphold the integrity of the immigration system. Ramaswamy critiques the current immigration system for rewarding dishonesty, as many individuals gain entry by falsely claiming asylum. He advocates for a more honest immigration policy that prioritizes individuals who can contribute positively to American society and align with its values. Ramaswamy shares his perspective on Donald Trump, highlighting both the criticisms and strengths of his candidacy. He acknowledges that Trump has faced significant challenges, including the 2020 election and the subsequent controversies surrounding it. Ramaswamy believes that Trump has shown growth since his first term and is more ambitious for his second term. He argues that Trump's leadership is essential for reviving national pride and addressing the issues facing the country. Ramaswamy emphasizes the importance of winning decisively in the upcoming election to unite the country and move forward. He also discusses the need for Trump to focus on policy rather than personal attributes, suggesting that the focus should be on who can best lead the country and implement effective solutions. Ramaswamy emphasizes the importance of resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict as a strategic move to weaken the Russia-China alliance. He argues that a peaceful resolution would not only de-escalate tensions in Europe, but also reduce the risk of China taking aggressive actions that could lead to a broader conflict, potentially involving the United States. He believes that by weakening Russia's military capabilities and its alliance with China, the U.S. can alter China's strategic calculus, making it less likely to engage in aggressive actions, such as the annexation of Taiwan. Ramaswamy suggests that the U.S. should pursue diplomatic efforts to end the war in Ukraine, which he views as a necessary step to stabilize the geopolitical landscape and reduce existential risks for the United States. Ramaswamy expresses concern about the growing tensions between the U.S. and China, particularly the potential for a hot war or significant conflict. He argues that one of the best ways to avoid such a conflict is to reduce U.S. dependence on China for essential goods and services, including pharmaceuticals and military supplies. He points out that the U.S. currently relies heavily on China for critical components, which poses a risk to national security. Ramaswamy advocates for a strategy of decoupling from China, which includes not only onshoring production to the U.S., but also strengthening relationships with allies like Japan, South Korea, India, and the Philippines. He stresses the need for strategic clarity regarding U.S. red lines, particularly concerning Taiwan, where he believes the U.S. should firmly oppose any attempts by China to annex the island through force. Ramaswamy argues that clear communication of red lines on both sides can help prevent misunderstandings that could lead to conflict. When asked about his future political ambitions, Ramaswamy does not rule out the possibility of running for president in 2028. He reflects on his recent presidential campaign, noting that he learned a great deal from the experience. He emphasizes his commitment to addressing the issues that motivated him to run, such as restoring national pride and identity in the U.S. Ramaswamy believes that the country is in need of leaders who can revive a sense of purpose and meaning, particularly among younger generations. He expresses admiration for Donald Trump, suggesting that Trump is the right person to carry forward the banner of national pride for the next 4 years. However, Ramaswamy is focused on the immediate future and the upcoming election, indicating that his next steps will depend on the political landscape in 2028. Ramaswamy discusses his philosophy regarding debates and public discourse. He enjoys engaging in debates and views them as an opportunity for intellectual growth. He believes that encountering criticism or opposing views can strengthen one's convictions and lead to a deeper understanding of one's beliefs. Ramaswamy emphasizes the importance of curiosity in debates, suggesting that being genuinely interested in the perspectives of others can foster a more constructive dialogue. He notes that his approach is not about remaining calm in the face of attacks, but rather about being curious about the motivations behind opposing viewpoints. This curiosity allows him to engage with critics in a meaningful way, rather than simply rebutting their arguments. Ramaswamy expresses a desire to revive the spirit of open debate in American culture, where people can disagree passionately, yet still come together as fellow citizens. He believes that this approach is essential for healing divisions in the country and fostering a more vibrant democratic discourse.